Jason Palmer, one of the hosts of The Intelligence, The Economist's daily current affairs podcast. The Economist's award-winning shows make sense of what matters, from our special series on China's president to our weekly podcasts on business, technology, and American politics. Our journalists provide fair, in-depth reporting on the events shaping the world. To get the annual plan for less than $2.50 per month, search for Economist Podcasts Plus to start listening today.
This episode is brought to you by Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business. Want to advance your career or switch fields? An MBA from Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business can help. Earn your degree from a top-ranked business school with a thought-provoking curriculum, one-on-one leadership coaching, support from experienced career counselors, and full-time, online hybrid, and accelerated MBA formats. Join the intelligent future. Visit cmu.edu/Tepper to learn more.
Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and I want to help you live with more clarity, confidence, and purpose so you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's going on, my awesome friend? Welcome back to the podcast. I am Matthew Bivens, your balanced lifestyle coach. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for choosing to hang out with me here today. If you ever want to reach out to me directly, send me some ideas for the show, some topics you want me to cover, you can do so by emailing me. My email is matthew@matthewbivens.com, and I read and reply to every single email. Today's episode is all about improving the quality of your relationships. And this can be any relationship that's important to you. And I'm going to be sharing with you a method that I have been doing myself over the past several weeks, which has led to greater connection, greater trust, greater intimacy in my most important relationships. Now, I want to stress from the very top of the episode that this is not some sort of hack. This isn't some quick fix strategy to get a person to do something that you want them to do. It's nothing like that. What this is, it's a way to approach deepening your connections and deepening your trust with others. So ultimately, the quality of the relationship itself can improve. My coach, Deadioba, has said to me, and I always remember, he says that an extraordinary life is one where you have extraordinary relationships. And this method I'm going to share with you is going to help you to develop those extraordinary relationships. So this method is called the 5x10 method, and it is very, very simple. You simply pick a person in your life that you want to enhance the relationship with, and you have a focused 5-minute conversation with that person for 10 consecutive days. And that's it. You spend 5 minutes with them on a very intentional conversation where you are listening, not doing a whole bunch of other things. You're just with them, present with them for 5 minutes a day for 10 days. And you start the conversation with something like, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? What would you like to share? Whatever your variation of that intro is, that's how you open up the conversation. This is a very focused conversation. It's very intentional, like I said. This is not a conversation that you have with them while you're doing something else. It's not while you're working or on your phone or doing the dishes or whatever. No, this is a focused, just with this other person conversation. 5 minutes a day for 10 consecutive days. Now, I'm not the originator of this idea. This idea originated with teachers in the classroom. And you'll commonly hear it referred to as the 2x10 method, 2x10. So a few weeks ago, I found myself just going down a rabbit hole of reading. I love to read different articles and just learning. I'm always learning. And so I came across this research that was talking about this thing called the 2x10 method in the classroom. And the research was describing how this method was leading to very significant improvements in student behavior. And so I was curious. So I dug into it more. And the more I understood about the 2x10 method, the more that I felt that it could apply to all relationships, not just troubled relationships in a school setting. So I'm going to read to you an excerpt from a blog article that's discussing the 2x10 method, and I'll put a link to that article in the show notes if you want to dig into it further. So here's what the article says. At its core, the 2x10 strategy is about consistently building relationships with students. Educators or school leaders select a particular student and set a goal to engage in a 2-minute conversation with that student for 10 consecutive school days. Research shows that implementing the 2x10 intervention can lead to significant improvements in individual student behavior and the broader classroom climate. Tips for effective 2x10 strategy implementation. First, keep the content of the conversation focused on the student's personal interests, not their schoolwork or behavior. The goal is to get to know the child outside of school in an authentic manner. Second, consistency is key. Even if the conversations are shorter than 10 minutes, they can be beneficial if they occur every school day. Holding a 30-second conversation for 10 days in a row with a student conveys more caring than having just one 30-minute conversation. Third, ask open-ended questions, and don't be afraid to probe if students start to open up. Fourth, be persistent. Be a persistent, positive role model. And fifth, keep the momentum going after the 10 days and continue to engage the student on a regular basis. Hey friends, this episode is sponsored by Factor, my favorite ready-to-eat meal delivery service. As life has picked up speed this past year, Sarah and I were finding that we enjoyed meal planning and prepping less and less. We were grateful to learn about Factor and their restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat at any time. We like Factor because of the chef-crafted meals that are dietitian-approved and pre-prepared. Each week, we can choose from a menu of over 35 different options, including keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more. And they also have some awesome add-ons, like cold-pressed juices, snack items, and even breakfast foods that are all held to a high nutrition standard. Factor has saved us money as well, especially on busy days when we might go for a quick takeout option. Instead, we now heat up some Factor meals and have a restaurant-quality dinner with none of the prep or mess, which means no cleanup, which we appreciate tremendously. So if you want to save yourself money, time, and stress when it comes to your meals, then I highly encourage you to consider giving Factor a try. Head to factormeals.com/havingitall50 and use code havingitall50 to get 50% off. That's code havingitall50 at factormeals.com/havingitall50 to get 50% off.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So once again, I stumbled across this while I was reading about students that were having difficulties in the classroom. They were displaying disruptive behavior, and it was impacting the overall vibe of the classroom, and it was impacting that student's relationship with the teacher. So the teacher was trying to figure out a way to increase and improve the rapport with the student, to build more trust. And so when they would implement this strategy and spend just 2 minutes with the student, the troubled student, for 10 days, what they found was that the student was less disruptive. There were less outbursts. And when the teacher would give instructions, tell the class to do something, when in the past the student would have a smart aleck remark or just wouldn't follow the teacher's instructions, after 10 days of having 2-minute conversations, the students were far more likely to listen. And I thought that was so fascinating because in a school setting, the student may not necessarily have that rapport and that trust built up with the teacher. Yet, a 2-minute conversation for 10 days was enough to shift behavior. And like the article said, it didn't just change the individual student's behavior, it also changed, and the article says, the broader classroom climate. So the rest of the students were impacted as well. So I thought that was just fascinating. And a few highlights that I took away from the whole thing were that, well, like I just said, it improves. The 2x10 method was improving not just the individual student, but the broader classroom climate. That when you were focusing those conversations on the interests of the child and showing up in an authentic manner, then that was helping to build the trust and rapport. It wasn't a conversation based off the child's behavior or based off the child's performance. I thought that was key. And then also consistency, being consistent. That speaks to being someone that, in this case, the student can actually count on. I can count on that person being there for me. And then the idea of open-ended questions. Asking an open-ended question, not a question that can be met with a yes or no answer. So after reading all this, I thought to myself, I want to apply this in my life. And I started with my 7-year-old daughter, Maya, and my wife, Sarah. So here's what I did with Maya. I usually take Maya to school. It's one of the things that I love to do is to drive her to school and pick her up. So what I was doing is before school, sometimes it was before we got in the car, sometimes it would be in the car. I would ask her just point blank, what do you want to talk about? For the next 5 minutes, we can talk about whatever you want. And it was so interesting to see her response initially. She always had something that she wanted to talk about. And after doing this a couple days in a row, she started to really look forward to the interaction. There was always something she wanted to share, even if initially she couldn't quite think of something. Because when I first asked her the question, it kind of caught her off guard. But then after that first interaction, there were so many things to talk about. And what I found is that 5 minutes almost always led into us talking the entire trip, the entire drive. And sometimes when we're driving, I would let her choose some songs to listen to. I have a YouTube mix that she likes. So she'd say, Daddy, can you play this song? And I would say, yeah, no problem. I'll play the song. But first, let's spend 5 minutes talking about whatever you want. And most of the time, we would end up talking the entire drive. So she always had things on her mind that she wanted to share. And what was cool is that the space that was created, she felt comfortable sharing, and she was just opening up. And what started happening is that she would then come to me more frequently to share other things. She was coming to me more when she was feeling upset, when she had questions. And she was already coming to me because there's a lot of things that I do intentionally to build trust with my daughter, my wife, my family. But I was just noticing that the amount of her reaching out was increasing, like the frequency was increasing. And tonight, this is only a few hours ago before recording this, she actually came up to me and she said, Daddy, will you tell me one thing that I do well and one thing that you think I could work on? That's what she asked me. She's 7 years old. And this question is actually related to some feedback that I sought from her a few weeks ago. I asked her a similar question. But the 5-minute conversations that we've been having have absolutely led to her feeling like that trust between us is so high that she can come to me and just ask for feedback. And I think it was, yes, she was interested in hearing what I had to say, but I also think she's just engaging in a meaningful conversation with me. And that was really cool for her to be the one to then come and initiate that conversation with me. So that's what I've seen with my daughter in just a few short weeks of doing the 5x10 method. Now with my wife, Sarah, I've been doing the same type of thing. But with Sarah, I've been having these conversations with her at night. After the girls go down, after the house is quiet, we've turned off our computers and phones and whatnot. I've been asking her the same type of question and, just opening up a conversation. It has led to us having some really fun conversations. And that's one of the biggest highlights that I've had. Like we've been talking about different travel. We've been talking about things that we want to experience and create this year. We've been just cracking jokes. I mean, like when I say fun conversations, like the conversations have really been fun. And we did this on Valentine's Day. I opened up a conversation and we were just talking for the next 2 hours. It was so magical. And I'm also learning more about Sarah, which I absolutely love. We first met back in 2010. We started dating in 2012. And I know a ton about her. And so the past few weeks of applying this 5x10 method, I've come to understand her and learn even more, which is tremendous. And through our conversations, the trust is high, that feeling of connectedness is high, that feeling of intimacy is high. And so it's so natural that we're having more physical connections as well. We're moving that sexual energy more frequently. And that's an amazing byproduct of spending 5 minutes a day in very focused conversation. So I'm seeing the impact of applying this method across my most important relationships. And I've actually even done this with Naomi, our baby. She's 14, going on 15 months old. And although she cannot talk to me, she's not engaging in a full conversation, I am spending just intentional time really engaging with her, really focused on her. And I'm seeing impact in there as well. So across the board, my relationships are improving as a result of spending 5 minutes a day in very focused, engaged conversation over the course of at least 10 days.
Hey there. Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Hey there. Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
So now what I want to do, I want to segue into the last part of this episode and share with you some of the big things that I've learned from doing the 5x10 method for the past few weeks, and then close off with how you can apply this in your own life. So here are the few things that I've discovered since applying this method the past few weeks. First is that it has further reinforced the idea that people really want to be heard and understood. It's part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we have our physiological needs at the bottom. We got to meet those. And then we need to meet our safety needs. And then we have love and belonging. And that's what's getting addressed when people feel understood and they feel heard and they feel like they're important. That love and belonging. And so I'm just even more aware of how important that is. And I'm finding it so easy to help a person feel heard and understood and important. It just takes a few minutes. It does not take a whole lot. It's just a few minutes. So that's one of my first big takeaways. The second big takeaway I've had is that through spending 5 minutes with people, just focus on the conversation, not doing anything else, that has actually showed me how frequently I multitask when I'm talking to folks. So what I was noticing is that when Sarah and I are engaged in a conversation, we're usually doing something. One of us is usually cleaning, tidying up the house, putting away dishes, tending to the baby or our daughter or the dog. Like, we're engaged in something else. And so part of our brain, part of our attention and focus is split. And I wasn't as aware of the fact that we were doing that prior to applying the 5x10 method for the past few weeks. Now I'm very aware. And I was doing the same thing with Maya, just being split attention. She might come over to me and ask me a question while I'm in the middle of doing some work, and I might continue doing the work while she's over here trying to engage in a conversation. So this helped me to become aware, and it's helped me to stop multitasking, stop splitting my attention when I am engaged in a conversation with a person, because when I'm doing that, it absolutely does not support them feeling heard and feeling understood. And the third thing I've discovered, my third big takeaway, is that I have 5 minutes. I absolutely have 5 minutes that I can give to people, no matter what. For my most important relationships, I have 5 minutes. So it's helped me to see how easy it is to take a relationship for granted, and how easy it is to believe that you are nurturing and watering a relationship simply because you're there physically. Where in reality is, a lot of times we just go through the motions. We just go through the motions. It's like if you've been in a relationship with a person for a long time, you take for granted the fact that you think they're just going to be there. You've heard the expression that happened in a lot of times in homes with married couples or people who live together, that you end up becoming two ships passing in the night. You're just there. And so if you start to believe that that is the same as watering the relationship, nourishing the relationship, then I absolutely recommend you give this method a try, because you'll see, oh my goodness, it's not the same. It's not the same. Having a focused conversation with the person, being very intentional and being present with them, is so different than just going through the motions with someone. And that happens in all types of relationships. It's not just romantic relationships with, things like that. But we do it in friendships. We take for granted the fact that our friends are there. But again, it does not take a lot of time to help a person feel understood. 5 minutes. You can spend 5 minutes focused on a person in a significant, meaningful way, and it'll have a huge shift in the relationship. So now let's close with action items. If you're feeling inspired to apply this in your life, I want to help you to do that very thing. So here's how you can take action. First, identify the relationships that you wish to improve. Have that person in mind. Then figure out when you're going to give that person 5 minutes. Is it going to be in the morning? Is it going to be in the evening? When can you give 5 minutes where you aren't doing anything else? You're just focused on that person. Next, open up the conversation. You got to initiate the conversation and do it with an open-ended question. A question that shows that you want to hear what's on their mind. I have literally asked to my wife and my daughter, what would you like to talk about? That's how I've done it, but you can arrive at your own version of that type of question. The bottom line is, ask an open-ended question that gets the person to share what's on their mind, what's on their heart, what's on their spirit. The next thing is to be consistent. Keep it going for 10 days. You can do it. If you have to put some reminders on your phone or in your calendar, fine, do that. But be consistent. Consistency is another part of building trust. So it's not just opening up that space for the conversation. It's you showing up in a consistent manner over time. So when you're doing this, when you're creating the space for the conversation and you're doing it day after day after day, that helps to create that feeling of comfort that this person you're talking to can really open up and start to share, because they can count on you being there. And the last thing that I recommend that you do after you've done this for the 10 days, ask that person for feedback. How do they feel the relationship is trending? Get some feedback. It's okay to ask those types of things, because they'll let you know, like, wow, I'm actually experiencing you stepping up more, initiating conversation more. And if you're a person who's really playing for improvement in the quality of your relationships, then you want the feedback. Otherwise, you're just operating off of assumptions. And most likely, I'll do an episode in the near future where I talk about how I've been asking people in my life for feedback, because I've been doing that for the last few months, just going to the significant relationships I have and asking them specifically to give me some feedback. So I'll talk about that, because that has a big impact on the relationship as well. And you can start practicing that here. After you've done the 5x10, ask for some feedback from the people that you've been building this rapport and this trust with. That's it, my friends. I am so excited for you to give this a shot. I would love to hear about the results that you experience from doing the 5x10 method. So if you want to share, if you want to let me know how it's gone, if you want to ask me questions, if you want to pitch a topic for a future episode, once again, you can do so on my email or at my email, which is matthew@matthewbivens.com. Thank you once again for choosing to hang out with me here today. I appreciate it. I send you so much love. My name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a man with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal physical or mental health.
Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.